Hello and welcome to another edition of the How to Grow Your E-commerce Business podcast. I'm here with John Gargiulo from Airpost, and we're going to talk about how to grow your e-commerce business with AI-powered video ads. So, John, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Would you like to just tell us about Airpost and how you got the idea and a bit about yourself?
Yeah, for sure. So I come from advertising writ large. I started my career as a creative in New York, doing TV ads and all that good stuff. Ended up working a few years at Airbnb in marketing. And then had this idea in 2019 with my co-founder to disrupt sort of the old Mad Men way things were done with high velocity, fast video shoots for paid social every week for clients like DoorDash, Hims and Hers, etc. So that's what our digital agency has done for the last 5+ years. It's grown to a couple hundred people. And we incubated this software called Airpost that we have now spun out and are launching that essentially takes people's footage, takes the 350,000 pieces of footage that we have shot, music, VO, AI driving all of this, and with real actors, real ads, different creative templates, can just put together ads almost from thin air for especially small e-commerce sellers.
So, what's the process of doing that? So, you're saying talk us through the process of creating ads for your system.
Yeah. So the way this works is we're trying to simplify things as much as possible. We know that people who are trying to build an e-com company are wearing 16 different hats. So you simply show up, and we're not the only one doing this, by the way. I'm happy to talk about the larger space. In our case, you show up, you put a product URL in or your Amazon link or whatever it might be, and it automatically scrapes these images, these videos that you have already put there. You can upload tons of other images and videos. We pre-fill a brief. So several things about your product. What are the top 15 value propositions? What are the problems it solves? What are some do's and don'ts? You edit those, you click a button, and you get all these, in many cases, long form UGC style vertical video ads for Facebook, Instagram, TikTok with people that it looks like they spent all day talking about your product. You're seeing these shots. You might see, Trevor, somebody talking to the camera or a voiceover describing one of the value props a certain way, and you see African-American hands unboxing the actual product, and it might cut to an African-American actor talking about it. You assume it's the same person. It's not. That's often the case in manually produced ads anyway. So you can see the magic of sort of taking all this information, using AI to understand what's in these shots and these words, and putting it all together.
Oh, so who does it? Okay, so you've got an advertiser and they want to do a product. So the kind of the video content that goes into that, is that content that they produce or you've got, or how does that work?
Yeah, good question. It's mostly stuff that they produce. So they already have product shots. Maybe they hired a bunch of creators or influencers to shoot some stuff that's in a folder somewhere from last year. I think the big thing with us is that we're the only one out there that's got our own footage as well. So we have 350,000 shots, vertical video shots. What these look like are, we call them avatars. They're people that we shoot 600 things of a young woman doing all the things you do in life. You could think of it like stock, right? Having trouble sleeping.
Like what do you call them? Something roll. B-roll.
What's that?
B-roll. Is it B-roll?
B-roll. Thank you. That's much better. B-roll of her working out, sleeping, having trouble sleeping, all the things, the problem solutions that might come with any e-commerce product. And we have that tranche of footage, and then she can make an ad, right, where we are inserting, the AI is inserting during the right parts of the script, that creative template when she's talking about how she couldn't sleep and what it was, causing her stress. You might see her tossing and turning in bed, looking out a window. And then, when she starts talking about the product, the AI might put a picture in of hands unboxing the product. So that our footage really helps, because otherwise you're just using what you have. A lot of people don't have a ton of footage. So this ameliorates it.
So does that mean, is any of the content actually purely AI created, or is it just is it just splicing together content?
Good question. It's mostly splicing together. We call it orchestrating, right? All the things. What's the music track? When does this VO end? What's being shown here during this part? What's the creative template? Is it a 3 reasons why ad? Is it a new TikTok-y thing that's going on? We're always adding to our library. What's coming soon, certainly in 2025, is that we will be able to do, we're naming it footage engineering, where we see this photo that you just put on Amazon with a white background of your product. There are now APIs we can bounce off of in the background that take that photo of this water bottle and put it in the hand of a guy at the gym, you know, and in a certain way, and it looks hyper realistic. Even today, it looks very good.
I suppose it's only quite short, isn't it, in a small picture as well.
Just a picture,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
we take that over to Runway or Sora on the back end and say, hey, make this 5-second video. And, you know, he might slow motion, smile, turn to, you know, talk to somebody or something. Now that looks like a piece of footage that the client could have gotten. You can even ask these models, you know, I want it to be UGC style, shot with an iPhone. And so all of a sudden you can engineer hundreds, thousands of pieces of footage that a small e-commerce seller may not have on hand and incorporate that into the ads.
But do you get an ad which is, because a lot of my experience with AI, I mean, AI is great, right? And it's great at creating content, but you do tend to get it's the not exactly the lowest common denominator, but you do get things which are quite generic,
Yeah.
or you can get things that are quite generic. Is this a good way? I mean, okay, so if I was to go, my experience with things like email marketing, right, I can go into MailChimp and I can create an email marketing campaign doing AI. It's okay. You know, it's a bit generic, and it's not as good as like someone who knew what they were doing, or not even somebody who thought about it. So it's better than, if you really don't want to spend any time in it, it's fine. But you know, you've only got kind of one shot of getting through to the customer. How would you judge the quality of your videos against something which, I'm not saying, okay, you know, like the kind of thing a multinational would do, but
Yeah.
the kind of thing that you could do on a small budget yourself, or so, you know, yourself? Would
Well,
you?
it's a particularly interesting question because we're talking about brands. Like this is, you know, for a lot of e-commerce folks, this is their baby. Like they don't want to ruin it. They don't want to put generic stuff out there. I
Yeah,
subscribe to a theory that if it's not 90%, maybe higher, as good as if you, Trevor, sat down and wrote that email, like, and you're like, oh, I'm so proud of this. This is going to crush it. This is awesome. If it's not 90% as good as that, it's worth zero. You've
yeah,
probably hit regenerate and MailChimp 10 times. And it's like, yeah, these are different. It's all just sounds kind of the same.
yeah.
That is a problem. That is a problem. Building software on top of those models that's helps it be better is really important. We have a whole small team that does nothing but that. So I'll give you an example. If you go into ChatGPT right now and say, make me a Instagram ad script for a water bottle that's, you know, I don't know, does a certain thing. There's actually one of our customers. It's attaches your phone with a magnet to the top of the water bottle when it's screwed on. Okay, you will quickly see that it's like MailChimp. It's not going to give you anything you're impressed with or really proud to run for your
Mm,
company. What we have done is say, what is that delta? We actually have a Notion document called 99 problems. It's like, what are the things between where AI is, where the generic is, and where we want to get to? And where we want to get to, we define as if I show you 3 ads or 30, you cannot tell which ones spent weeks to make with a Trevor behind the scenes and working directly with influencers, shooting in your, and the ones that AI made like that. And what we will do, for example, is a big problem is colloquialisms. It's really rare for AI to write something that sounds like a Gen Z kid like made it. So we will look to an ad. We have a whole document where we have a team who's researched real ads written by real people, and we ask, what is it about? We call this document catchphrases. What is in there that's making it feel so real? Oh
mm,
well, I wish I could pull it up now, but it's like you know, there's this one part where he says it opens the ad, and it's like storytelling is a big part of it. This is the 3rd year in a row my sister got me something that I returned.
mm,
Last year was the 3rd year in a row. This year's the first time I didn't return it. I haven't told her yet, but I'm already feel like I'm telling a real story. AI is never going to come up with that. But if we see that in some ad for True Classic or something, we may lift those exact words and tell the AI, and it's actually really good at this. Look, this particular creative template, you need to start with these words. Make the voiceover say these words, and then fill in this, fill in that, product name here, and suddenly it starts to feel more natural. So that's
to
one
what
way we
extent?
deal with it.
So to what extent with your because my experience with AI, right? I haven't, but slightly embarrassed, haven't used it all that much. You know, if I want to get, it's a great way to get, as you say, 80% of the way there, and you can take it. You know, I want to use, you know, just combining different sources of content. I think, okay, I've used it to write articles, and I've just taken, you know, got some bits of, you know, content that I wanted to use and say, you know, summarize that for me, and then I go in and I read it and I change bits and stuff like that. And it's a great way of saving huge amounts of time.
Yes.
Tell me about the process of, you know, is that, you know, do you use it to what extent can your customers tell the AI what they wanted to do and add those kind of nuances and say, use these kind of phrases. What's the process they go through to create a video to make sure it's got
Yep, that's a
that
good question.
personality they can use?
Well, we want to like fit into what people are used to. So they're used to a brief, right? They're used to working with an agency, working with creators and saying, this is the brief. This is what to say. This is what not to say. This is our tone. This is our brand. We have that. AI is surprisingly good at following those rules. Not perfect, but very good. And we can say, what's the tone? What's the basically a brand guide? What we've learned from I've talked to over 75 customers, and what we have learned is where they go, ooh, no, is when it says something that's like not true, hallucinates, right? Or it just says something that doesn't fit them. Why do the ads keep talking about how the water bottle's lightweight? Like no one cares, and it's not even that lightweight. Right? That will happen. But by going into the brief and they can slide up and down the value props, the ranking of what the ads are going to talk about, they can edit it. That's the number one way that they change it. And then worst case scenario, because it's meant to be lightweight and fast, if you see, and this happens, oh, this ad is great, but I really don't love that shot at the end or these words. We don't even have like a whole editor, a timeline, and Adobe and all that junk. It's not even like Canva. It's even simpler. It's just these are the words in the ad. You want to change a couple, boom, preview, done. So we give people control as well.
Okay. So what's it? I mean, is it entirely your system? Is it a self-service? Self-service
Yeah,
system? Is it you pay
it's
like a fee?
self-service. You go in, you put in your product URL, and an hour later you've got ads.
Okay. So so what is the process? Okay, from start to finish, what's the process of creating a fantastic video?
Yeah. So very first thing you do, you go to the website. It'll say, great. What's your specific product URL? Not I don't know, Amazon.com. It's what very specifically on Amazon or your PDP. What's the link? You put that link in and it kind of takes it from there, Trevor. It just fills in the brief entirely. Okay, this looks like a water
So
bottle.
you need to write a brief, but you need to write a brief. So
You don't need to
got
write,
that.
but you need to look at the brief, but it's written for you. So it's
Okay.
all pre-filled because no one likes writing briefs. It's so painful. It's like writing job descriptions. It's not something people look forward to. It's like, I know what the things are, but now I got to write them all down. And how many times going to ask me this question? So when it says, what are the top 15 problems it solves? Even us with our products, maybe we come up with 3 or 4 quickly. Then it's kind of painful. I thought 15 was too many, frankly. Nope. AI has got plenty of time and plenty of brains to think.
Yeah.
It can actually come up with 15 viable ones. So you're you're clicking through screens. You're either saying that's fine, or you're rearranging it. So you're looking through the brief, you're uploading all of your stuff, right? Putting in a Google Drive link or just uploading tons of footage. And then that's it. We've got our own footage. We've got our own AI engine. Take your footage, take your brief, make ads. And unlike the folks that most of the companies out there now, I call it talking heads staring creepily at the camera. They say, make one ad at a time. You're in charge of the brief. You got to write it from scratch. And there's not even a brief. It's like, what do you want this talking head to say? What B-roll do you want in the background? It's useful. I think people should be using those tools. For us, it's just jumping to the end. It's here are 100, 200 ads that have been pre-made based on what we know, our footage, your footage, go for it. It's kind of like, I hate to compare to stock, Trevor, but it's kind of like, 2000, if you and I are doing a brochure for Delta, it's like, we got to go hire a photographer to shoot a guy with a briefcase running through Heathrow. And we're going to go look at binders in New York. We're going to pay $20,000 for a photographer. And then Shutterstock and Getty came along and we're like, well, here's 1,000 pictures of businessmen running through airports for $200. Changes the whole paradigm.
Yeah. So what makes a good video?
A few things. It depends what you're going for. So most e-commerce folks that I talk to, they're like, look, if I'm going to spend money on Facebook, Instagram, I don't have millions to spare. I need to make more money than I'm spending, otherwise known as the point of marketing, right? So it's more, if we're talking about more direct response, it's a whole art, which again, this art is what we're trying to build into the product. What is the hook, right? I mean, things as sort of, and this is not the case, not good for all brands that would want to use this. Tiffany probably wouldn't use this, but like squishing clay in a hand or doing something catchy with the product, throwing that water bottle to somebody in fast motion and whips into their hand or it goes back, plays backwards for 1.8 seconds. The hook is important. What do you say over the hook? Like, ugh, water bottles or like leaky water bottles. You see it leaking in fast motion. That may be a better hook than just nothingness. And then you can almost think of it like a sales video. There's a section of social proof. What are the reviews of this thing? Uh, I want to see what it looks like when it comes to my house. Is it big? Is it small? I want to see it in somebody's hand. That
Mhm,
will help sell. All the way through to the call to action, and then of course multivariate testing this stuff, because 9 out of 10 ads don't work.
mhm. So is there a bit of a shit in, shit out problem? One of my
Oh
favorite phrases
yes.
with this. I mean, so if you've got a really poor product listing, presumably, then you'll end up with and poor images and poor, then you'll end up with a poor ad. So
I mean,
what's the thing?
that was one of the first things I heard batted around advertising when I started is um, nothing kills a bad product faster than good advertising.
Mm,
So yeah, I mean, if the product's not good, no advertising is going to save it.
okay. So what are these days? Okay, so what are the best platforms in your opinion to, which platforms do people use these video ads on?
Yeah, good. It's changing. TikTok's in limbo right now in the United States as we speak.
Of course
Um,
it is, isn't it?
what's that?
Of course, yes, it is, isn't it?
Right, and it's a big one. It's a really,
And
really
what
big.
what percentage of the market was that?
Oh boy, I don't know, but it's been growing. TikTok Shop
Yeah,
is actually, I talk to a lot of people that they're doing a lot of sales there. Amazon's growing, advertising's growing, video is growing on Amazon a lot. Um, it's
everyone's watching
mostly
YouTube all
Facebook.
the time.
What's that?
I said everyone is watching YouTube all the time.
And then YouTube Shorts has been exploding. So I mean, the world is going from the big rectangle on our living room walls to the little, vertical rectangle in our pockets. But most production, most old school video making is still widescreen.
Mhm,
Um, so for folks that want to get ahead of what's happening with YouTube Shorts, Twitter just introduced a video thing. LinkedIn just announced that their vertical video is the fastest growing part of their network. Obviously, Instagram stories, Threads just started running ads, and is growing extremely fast. All of those things, if you're an e-commerce person, most e-commerce people I know that have been really successful, those are the channels that they've been successful on.
okay. So what are your, and who does video ads, who do they work best for? What kind of companies
I
do
mean, I think they work for anyone. I think they work best for folks that their product needs a little explanation, right?
okay,
If you're selling a spatula, people already know what a spatula is and does. And now you really just got to explain why yours is different. You don't need to educate. A lot of the
mhm,
best video ads, especially direct response video ads that get people to buy right then, educate in some way. And by the way, it doesn't necessarily only need to be education about the product. It could be education about the problem. There's
mhm,
this great quote: "If I feel that a company understands my problem, that's like 90% of it. 10% is okay. I trust them. They get it. I have a problem to solve it." At Ready Set, our digital agency, we work across all the Hims and Hers um, products. They have a pill for ED. They have a pill for, have a big Ozempic competitor. Some of these things, it's like, well, do I need a doctor? What's this telehealth thing? How's this going to work? Um, do I have ED or not? Like, I have questions I'm embarrassed to ask. You can address these with video much easier than just a slide.
okay. And so what's the kind of best length for a video?
It really varies. I mean, we see stuff that's extremely short perform really well, something really, really simple. I think that there's a static ad, which couldn't be more short. It's not even video. For hymns, I think that it just has a picture of a hands and a pill, and it just says "have sex like you used to," and it's spent like millions of
Nice.
dollars. So
I
doesn't
see.
even have to be
Who'd have thought it?
long.
Sex sells.
Your sex sells. It's like, I want to take that pill. Video wise, I'm on this tip now. Like, I think long can really work. It's kind of like a great ecom landing page, or funnel. It can be just almost endless, just going on and on and on and on. And those people that get to the bottom, that 4% of them that are actually reading everything, they're getting really sold and they're really likely to buy. It's similar to with ads. You might have an ad I'm not saying this is all ads. Most ads are probably down 15, 25 seconds, but I see ads that are a minute and 23 seconds perform
Mhm.
outstanding because it's the person that is interested in this space. They're the right audience. They're like, oh, I have this problem. You've hooked me in. I'm listening. Oftentimes they're not selling, selling, selling. They're educating, educating, educating. Sometimes they
Oh,
don't
is it,
want to.
yeah, I mean, is it a bit like, your shopping channels where they're always giving you an opportunity to buy, telling you more and more about the product as you go along?
Actually, no. I was gonna say it's more because people go to those channels because that's what they want, and you're right. They're really good at having these buttons and buy now, and now it's gotten cheaper. And in this case, what I've seen on Facebook long form ads is it's you don't realize you're watching an ad. So
Mm,
it's a minute and 23-second ad for a pill for ADHD, our supplement that helps with focus. And for a minute and a second, this woman is talking about her life, how she's been so distracted. She doesn't know why. She talked to her doctor. More interesting than this, more storytelling, more specifics. But the person's leaning in, they're stop scrolling and they're like, holy crap, this is how I feel lately. What is this about? I want to watch this story. Maybe it's an organic story. Oftentimes people don't even realize it's an ad.
mm.
And then the very end, it's like, you know what? So my doctor tried this, it didn't work. Then they said, well, most people do that. Yeah, I've heard that. Didn't work. So I tried this supplement and I got to say, I did not expect it to work. It has, and here's why. Blah, blah. One of the cliches is it's been a game changer for me, right?
Mm.
And then I'm like, shit, well, I'm her. And so I'm buying it. I'm going to try this thing for 19 bucks. That's really what I mean about that long form.
Okay, so you say you're just gonna test these things out and see what works.
100%. And then to do that, you need volume. And that's one of the hard things for smaller ecom companies. It's like, okay, I got some video ads. I hired this influencer dude who got 4 friends and they made 4 ads. It's taken me a month. I had to send them the product. I did this guy was PayPal wasn't working. I had to look at it. No, you have to reshoot it. You held it wrong. All this drama or just time that people don't have. And then you have 4 things, and then none of them work because 9 out of 10 things don't work. So what we're trying to solve for with Airpost is what if we give you 100 things and they're all mostly there, and
So
you can help get yeah.
you've got a bit of software that does this, right? And you've also got an agency that does video ads for people?
We do. The agency Ready Set is more for large companies,
Okay.
Coinbase,
No,
DoorDash.
just to go, you're a bit like Kodak, like, who were trying to Kodak invented the digital camera and then decided not to sell it.
We are perfectly happy to disrupt ourselves. I think there will be agencies for a long time. Ready Set just had its best month ever. Um, but I do think in 10 years, there'll be agents more so than agencies. There'll be, I need creative. I need media buying. I don't know how to do media buying. I meet a lot of ecom CEOs that are like, I'm taking a course on it. I guess I need emails. I guess they need to sound all right. I guess I need to track conversions. I guess I need a funnel. Right now they hire agencies of people. They have meetings. Smaller companies in ecom usually can't afford good ones. So they churn through them.
Yeah.
We want to build a world where it's like, you know what? Before I try this X $1,000 a month agency, let me try this automated group of agents that I can chat with on Slack. I can go to this platform. I can see what they're doing. I can approve the ads. They know how to set up an account structure on Facebook. They know how to do all the things. And I'll see if that works. And I can pay, 3% of spend to them. And they only make a lot of money if it works.
Okay. So what kind of performance would you think is what looks good in terms of performance for video? What in terms of conversion rate and
I'm not the media side guy, so I don't have those numbers. And it really varies by vertical. It's $1 billion question for a lot of folks. We work with Airbnb. They were just asking us the same. We sent some benchmarks over. But I wouldn't want to mislead your people. You probably have smarter people on about that stuff.
I don't know. Don't know about that. I mean, what would you see? I mean, because a good, we say on a website, right, a good conversion rate would be somewhere between, 2% is kind of okay. And anything above that, 4% is really, good. And anything above that's really good.
Yeah. I mean, this is everyone's least favorite answer, but it so depends, Trevor, right? Like
Yeah.
we worked with Goalie gummies for years. They sold, just bajillions of dollars in apple cider vinegar gummies. And it's like, it's like the shopping network stuff where it was like, oh, now that you're on this page, you can get the first one for $9. And usually it's $29. It's like lots of people are going to convert on that. We've worked with, Dyson, might say $995 for a vacuum cleaner, and it's going to be a lot less people converting. So it really does depend.
Okay. And so what do you see the future is for video ads? And also I'd like to get your opinion. Let's do video ads and let's do AI after that. So yeah, video ads. What do you think the market's going to play out?
It's kind of a scarcity versus abundance thing. Video ads have been scarce because they've been hard. It's scary. What do I do? Production, like we don't use that word inside our companies. We use content creation because production connotes like, oh, I need a production assistant for this bigger shoot and I need sets. And usually you don't. Usually people want to see a real person on a real phone with real lighting. So the future of video ads, I think, as we get to abundance, as we get to not just UGC, but AIGC, AI generated content that's indistinguishable from user generated content. And by the way, this will feel really weird and be really controversial. And there'll be people who are like, I miss the, real people, and real people buy from real people. Some of the smartest people in our space say that today. It sounds great and it's easy to cheer for. The reality is, if the not real people look exactly like real people, They're going to buy from them too.
No one's
Um,
going to care
yeah, once
fundamentally.
it's like, oh crap, well, I could pay these real people thousands of dollars to, send me an ad in 2 weeks, and I got to tell them why they have to reshoot this, or I can pay this thing a tenth of that, and it looks like real people. It's just it sucks in the short term. It does. It really sucks. Like it's not fun for the creator or the creative who would spend all that manual time. But my theory is there'll be people can use way more high parts of their brain, and there'll be way more jobs. We just don't know what they are yet. And
Yeah,
so
it's true. I think what's going to happen is just that we're going to just we'll find other things to do.
yeah, we
Unfortunately,
never haven't, put it that way. And this has happened about
yes,
1,000 times in
yes. I
history.
think it'll. Yeah, hopefully we'll just find some more interesting things to do.
Yeah, so I think the future of video ads is abundance, and like what that means is really exciting and pretty unknown right now.
So, what do you think about AI, right, in general? Because what do you think? Have you got any reflections on AI, where it's going?
I think you said something really insightful, which is even though we're so far along, it's just not that good yet. Look at the consumer side. How many consumer AI first AI startups have been funded and have really smart people behind them talking to customers in the last 3 years? Thousands and thousands and thousands. How many consumer AI apps or companies are you using every day? And you're like, oh my God, I just told 8 people about this. Almost hard to come up with one. The only one that sort of had a moment of like really big revenue and then quickly got bought because I don't know, probably they were flatlining was Character AI because lots of like 14-year-olds were using it to have a friend to talk to, which is okay. Um, that's the only one. So why is that? My theory is it's because it's just not good enough. Even Character AI, I never used it, but probably it doesn't really feel like they would say like you could chat with Abraham Lincoln or you could chat with, whatever, this friend. It's not the same as talking to a real friend who's got moods and, funny comments that are based on something that happened today, etc. So I think that the future of AI is massive. I think it's like not perfectly apples to apples, but it's kind of like the internet. We're sitting here having a podcast about the internet and payments in 1994. It's like, it's exciting.
Mm.
It can work. There's a whole bunch of scams, and I'm making this up. 30% of the time your credit card gets lost in some, database and someone might steal it. And so, but the future, looking back, obviously in hindsight, is everybody, billions of people are going to use their credit cards and buy things, and that leads to abundance. It probably leads to a lot of the e-commerce companies that are listening here. But it wasn't good in 1994. So I think that it's still early for AI, and there will come a tipping point that will fall over where it gets to that 90%, and a whole lot of things will happen. At least that's what a lot of people are banking on because there's about $1 trillion of investment that's gone into this technology so far.
Yeah. I mean, it is amazing. I mean, some of it is extraordinary. I mean, I was doing something where I wanted to get it to do it was a bit geeky, but I had some URLs and I wanted to get the page title for the URLs and I wanted that in a CSV and I just return and it just did it. And I thought, wow. I mean, I can do that.
It's great for that. It's great for that. Financial stuff. I don't know how financial minded you are, but taking some spreadsheet of your P&L for your agency and being like, what's my EBITDA going to look like next year? Hey, I just signed a few new, I think I'm going to sign these clients. I think they're going to pay about this much. Or I might lose this guy. Just talking. I use the microphone, look at this Excel spreadsheet, redo the Excel spreadsheet, call it model Trevor question AI and add a tab, keep all the formatting the same, change the numbers based on what I'm trying to tell you and give me a feel for what it might look like. And I've done that and it works.
What was that in ChatGPT or something?
That was just ChatGPT, just dragging the model, the Excel file in, or Google.
It's just really to a certain extent thinking, I could probably get it to do that. But then it doesn't, this thing that I was just talking about, it didn't quite work. I wanted to do 1,000 URLs and it did the first 10 for me and then it said, nah.
I've had that too.
It's not quite there. And it was just like, and so I found another way of doing it. But I just thought, gosh, if it could, because I'm far too tight to pay 20 quid or something and get the problem.
Well, what you're also touching on is vertical specific AI. So I think what we're both talking about now is dumping stuff into ChatGPT or whatever. That's what we're trying to do with Airpost with e-commerce advertising, things that are very specific to a vertical, and understand the customer, what they're trying to do, and then use the LLMs underneath, but it's build lots of software on top, a user experience, like the brief I talked about for our ads. That's important to people, right? That's why I think it's important to have DNA in actual performance advertising and know how to make an ad that works and the tech side. I see a lot of people just coming from the tech side being like, here, you know, this does a thing. This makes a CSV. What's wrong? Like, well, it's only 10. I need 1,000. So I think you need to understand both to make a good product.
Hmm. Cool. Look, I've got one final question for you. I like to ask a funny question at the end. Has anything inspired you recently? Have you watched
I
any good
mean,
TV programs? Have you read any good books? Tell us something we should be looking out for.
oh boy, I love the Eric Larson books. I don't know how business focused this is,
I
or
don't know.
inspiring.
Preferably not business focused.
Okay, good. So I don't know if you know him. He's written a lot of incredible books about history. I don't know why I've been nerding out on like late 1800s, early 1900s, sort of the Industrial Revolution, all the changes that happened there, or just that time. He wrote one called "The Devil in the White City" about the World's Fair in Chicago in the late 1800s. Um, his books are
Was that the
just like
one? Was
super.
that the one where there was a murderer? Was that one about the murderer?
Yes, there's also a murder. It's like he often does that. He has
Yeah,
two things at once kind of going on in the
because
books.
there was
Yeah.
this guy there. I think it's being turned into a film, and there's this horrible person that basically, because loads of people were turning up,
Yeah. Oh,
and
I gotta
just
look
kind of.
up if it was turned into a movie. That's interesting.
Well, I think that it got. I think it got what was the word I'm looking for? Optioned by Leonardo DiCaprio or
Oh, wow.
something. But, I think because yeah, I read a story about him, and this guy was just killed loads of people and created this kind of house of horrors and killed loads of
Oh,
people,
it's
and
awful, awful,
it
awful.
was
Oh, that's
really
interesting. I didn't know
just
that.
hideous.
Funny you say Leonardo DiCaprio because the other book that I think this could be more inspiring and also just horrifying is called The Wager. And this was in the 1700s, 1800s. And this ship, like very far from England, got marooned on an island, all the sailors, and kind of Lord of the Flies situation. They had to figure out how to survive. Um, and it was really gripping. I think it's just called The Wager. It just happened to be the name of the ship. And I
Mhm.
just saw that Martin Scorsese and Leo DiCaprio optioned to make a movie out of that. That's not
Make it
a
all okay, I'll
um,
look at that.
but it's just when people like when it gets down to base like humanity, like, okay, you just have to live, you have to collaborate, work with people. One big question throughout that book is the captain still the captain now that there's no ship and we're all on land? So anyways, I love that kind of stuff.
There's a good book, okay, on that theme. There's a book called Humankind, and it's about I can't remember. It's written by the guy that stood up at Davos a few years ago in front of a whole lot of billionaires, and they were all saying, "Oh, we should, do this and that." And he was saying, "Oh, come on, when are we going to start talking about you guys paying more tax?" And
Interesting.
anyway, so he was, and he there was a real life kind of Lord of the Flies situation where some kids got marooned, and they didn't kill each other. They worked together and they kept each other alive, and they got picked up a year later and they were in good health.
Oh
So
wow.
his point being is that actually these people, it's all about people are can be, it often doesn't turn out in these kind of horrendous situations if people are actually much better to each other than you might think.
I'm gonna definitely check that out. I would love
I'll
that.
send you. I'll put it in the show notes.
Yeah, please do.
So okay, tell us about where can people find you online and find Airpost.
Yeah, I'm on LinkedIn, just John Gargiulo, Gargiulo. And then Airpost is airpost.ai. We're in like the early phases still. So please, come check it out. Let me know what you think. I'm just John at airpost.ai. We want to build something that's really powerful for ecom sellers, particularly smaller companies. So yeah,
Mhm.
happy to be here and happy to learn from the audience.
Super. Okay, John, lovely to speak to you, and good luck for the future.
You too, Trevor. Thanks. This was fun.
Bye.
Bye bye.